Hello everyone. I want to do a tree tutorial, and this will probably be a multiple part series. I'm going to start off, we're going to focus on just the silhouette of the tree. I feel like it's really important. We're going to do a few different silhouettes and just run through them and decide which ones to go with and kind of some of my thought process behind them. So I'm going to start out with kind of my favorite tree to draw, and that's a pine tree. So I start out just making kind of straight line, figuring out where the main root's going to be, and then we'll do a few different pine trees. Like we can do one here, and basically I want a more of a scraggly looking pine tree. I don't want it to be like in like full health, I guess you would say. So I'm just kind of jutting out some branches at various points and kind of getting an idea of like how much branches I want to be in there, how full I want it to be. And I'm kind of curving them up. I'm thinking about the weight of the branch and how many leaves it has on it and things like that. For the base of these trees, we're not going to do too much. We're just going to leave it kind of, there's the base there. So let's do a similar one, but let's have it be a little more full, perhaps. I'm just going to take my Silhouette brush. I'm just kind of brushing out and kind of imagining this as a much healthier tree. It's had a better life than the one on the left. It hasn't had as much competition with the other trees around it. And I'm just kind of taking and swooping the brush off that base point or the trunk of the tree. And we can just keep, pine trees are super simple. You could add a little more character if you want to bend them off in a few directions. If you want to make one that looks even more scraggly, I actually like doing these kind where you just have like a few branches here shooting off where it doesn't have anything weighing it down, and then maybe we'll have a few that just sort of shoot out here and there. Pine trees aren't usually too bendy though. Maybe this one just had a hard time growing. I'll just shoot a few sticks out here and there. And like this pine tree here, I'm not really liking that one so much because it doesn't flare out as much on the bottom. So we're gonna make another one here, and this one's gonna for this one we're gonna use the lasso tool and kind of just go along this and get kind of that flare out bit, and just really quickly just scrape that in. And I'm gonna grab there we go. I want that to be just the black, and we'll drag that across a few times, fill it in, and then go back in with a brush and erase a few bits and kind of just feel out the shape until I get a tree shape that I kind of like better for that one. And the silhouette's super strong or super important for trees. It determines a lot about your tree. And see, I created a significant amount of variance in just using kind of the same ideas and principles for these few different trees. And with pine trees, sometimes the branches will flare up a little more than you think. A lot of times I tend to kind of droop them down like they're weighed down. But you could have a version. Let's move these over a little bit, and you could have a version where it's more of a they flare up a lot more. Maybe the branches kind of bend out like that, and that's going to give you a different feeling for your tree. I mean, we'll call this one experimental, and I usually don't draw trees too much like this. It's a little too even with the breaks here, the branches and everything like that. So we're just gonna try some looser ones and just keep pulling branches down. Maybe we'll have this one just be a little bit shorter. So I'll bring that up here. And the nice thing about if you're, kind of doing a group of trees, props and things like that, you can also add variety in pretty quick if you just grab another one of your trees here. Let's just take this one, and I select it and I'm just holding Alt and duplicating it over, and we're just going to shorten this tree a bunch, squat it down, and just fill it out, and just kind of change it up a little bit. I'm not very happy with this one really, but it's all right. Let's work on it just a tiny bit more, give it a little more character. Maybe have it kind of bending a little bit at the top there and kind of flaring out. You can kind of give a whimsical feel to some of your trees. So there's a broad range of pine trees. We could do perhaps one more. We could do kind of the, you'll come across some that are more like just pretty much everything at the top is grown. There's really nothing at the bottom. And we'll just pull these pieces out here. And then you might have just a few branches kind of bending out to these points here. And then down here, as it gets further down, you're not going to see as many branches, because in this case, what's going on here, you probably have other trees that are taking up the areas around this tree. Maybe there used to be a forest here and you have stumps and stuff down here, because it's basically the tree is just growing up as fast as it can and getting light. So you can add a little bit of story into your trees if you think about that. Like, how is this tree being affected? What's causing it to grow in this way? Like these trees here, they have they don't have the competition as much like this one right here. It just can grow straight up. I'm actually going to redo this one, and we're going to go with more of a little more shape to this one. I'm going to design it from a little more of a geometric pattern. I'm just taking these, pulling them off, and maybe we'll add some circles around here, just trying a different style and approach to this one. Almost like it's a simple geometric or simple cone shapes stacking up, sort of bending over. And then once I have that in place, I'll just kind of grab these sections with the lasso tool, and I'm holding shift so I can add multiple pieces. You can see it says shift there. And then we'll just kind of pull this out like that and sort of start stacking it together a little bit and adding some more brush or underbrush or pine needles and stuff to kind of pull it together and make it a little more complete. This is more of a stylized tree, I guess you could say. I'll fix this, have it bend a little bit. Maybe we'll just kind of break this off here and feel the action, the action point through the tree here. I'm just gonna make this one a little smaller. And there we go. Okay, in part 2, I'm gonna work on a different type of tree. We'll probably do like some oaks or something like that, like a bigger type of tree. And we'll also, once we get done with all of those, we'll come back in and start refining these. Some of these we'll choose and paint them, take them to the next level, or go beyond like a silhouette at least, or do some drawings and kind of show how I go about doing that process as well. If you like this video, give it a like, a thumbs up. If you really like it, subscribe and turn notifications on. And I appreciate you watching, and take care. Farewell.